Windsor, Ontario, Canada's automaking capital. Windsor's been in the car manufacturing business almost since Henry Ford rolled out his first Model T. And the workers here are proud of that industrial heritage, especially since they labor in the shadow of Motor City, USA. Now, there's always been a friendly rivalry between auto workers in Windsor and their American counterparts just across the river. But there's another, lesser-known rivalry of which many of these plant workers are unaware. It's a rivalry that took place not on the shop floor, but on an Olympic basketball court. It started with a bunch of friends who played basketball together on a team they called the Windsor Alumni. Now, as this team became more competitive, their team manager, Gordon Fuller, sought a sponsor, and Fuller found one in the local Ford plant. They changed their name to the Windsor Ford V8s. The team was a good one. So good, they beat Toronto for the Eastern Canadian Championship, then won the national title, defeating British Columbia. The year was 1936, an Olympic year. As national champions, the V8s had won the right to represent Canada in Berlin. But there was a snag.
When they won the Canadian Championships in Windsor, there was a few problems as far as money was concerned, because at that time the Canadian government did not fund their Olympians.
Jim Stewart's father, Jim Sr., was a member of the V8s.
So the players on the team were going to have to find the financial means to get to Germany. Mr. Fuller, again, went to Ford's to see if he would fund this trip, which he did. Now, some of the wives went, and they had to get their own funds.
Canada's 1936 Olympic team traveled to Europe by boat. The V8s described the voyage as something of a holiday, a cruise, beautiful weather, calm seas. When they arrived in Berlin, they were greatly impressed by how well prepared and organized the Germans were to host the games.
Very clean, very organized. People were very good. There were people in uniforms all over, though. That's what gave me the impression that they were warlike.
There were other signs of what lay ahead under Hitler and his Nazis. One incident happened at a reception attended by the Canadian team.
There's two diplomats there from Austria, and they surprised us very much by saying that they felt Hitler was going to attack Austria in 2 years, 1938. And when we heard that, then we weren't too surprised, really, because they seemed quite serious about it.
The Canadians were also aware of the Nazi attitude towards the Jewish people. In fact, one Jewish team member, Irving Toots-Moretsky, discussed with his parents the potential problems of going to Berlin.
I got permission actually from my parents that it was okay for me to go over there because I was Jewish. It's okay. If you mind your own business, you go. So anyway, on the train going from France to Germany, I met a Jewish traveling salesman, and a nice-looking man, and I asked him what was going on there. He says he really didn't know at that time, and he says things were quiet. But he told me, he says, don't go out at nights, and don't go chasing German girls.
I was in Berlin, and I wanted to go downtown.
Another Jewish member of the team was Julius Goldman.
And I thumbed a ride, and I got in with two fellows that were on the German Olympic team, you know, great big guys, Nazis, you know. So I'm sitting between the two of them in the back seat. And, you know, Yiddish is almost the same as German, see. So that's where I could translate. So we're sitting in the back, and I'm talking with them, and I'm speaking what is Yiddish to me, to them it's German, see. And this one fellow says to me, oh, where did you learn to speak German? Well, I wasn't going to tell them it was Yiddish because they would throw me out. So I said, I learned it in school.
From the swastikas hung through the streets to the salute at the opening ceremonies, the Berlin Games were dominated by Hitler and his Nazis.
Well, I remember coming into the stadium the first day. The sun was shining, but there were cumulus clouds in the sky, and the sun was obscured for a moment, and Hitler did not appear. And when the sun came out, he stepped out on the platform. He was a typical showman.
And put on a show he did. The venues, facilities, everything was first rate.
They had a beautiful layout out for us. They had hundreds of cottages, and they put us in a cottage with about 12 or 14 bedrooms and 2 in a bedroom. But anyway, the village had everything. They had places to practice basketball, running, jumping, and we're practicing there. Our basketball court was there. It's like it was a tennis court, and if it rained, the basketball would, as soon as it hit the water, it wouldn't move.
The boys from Windsor played well. They were undefeated in their games against Brazil, Latvia, Switzerland, and Poland. They made it all the way to the gold medal game. Their opponents came from a country the V8s had grown up alongside. The Americans were a taller team, and that height difference became a big factor in the gold medal match, which was played outdoors in a steady downpour on those tennis courts.
The game was wet, and you could play soccer on a clay court on a wet day. You can play football, you can play baseball in the rain, but you can't play basketball on a clay court in the rain. And it was very slippery, and they could not execute any plays. They had to simply pass the ball around. The weather was drastic. Michael Jordan could have slid from foul line to foul line and scored a basket without taking steps.
The weather, and again remember they played outdoors in the rain on that converted tennis court, kept the score low, with the Americans eking out a 19-8 victory. The V8s had to be content with their silver medals and a most unusual souvenir.
At the end of the game, the final whistle blew, and fortunately, my father ended up with the ball in his possession. This didn't last too long, though, because he saw Mum sitting at the side in the spectator section, and he ran over and slid the ball under the blanket so that she could keep the ball. He figured at that time this would be a nice little souvenir to bring home from Germany. They got away with it. Mother left the stadium. People probably thought she was pregnant, but that's what she says anyway. And they got the ball out and brought it home, and has been a treasure of the family ever since.
I don't think anybody else wanted the ball, to be quite frank with you. It was all muddy.
It was like a soccer ball. And I have good thinking on Jim's part.